Make sure we're live. Okay, cool. I see us on YouTube.
Yep.
Oh,
I see us live on Twitch.
yay. All right, good. Oh, I didn't change my Twitch info. Good job.
Episode 60 again. More
Whoops.
post Masters Tour.
Why
No.
episode 61? If episode 60 was so good, why don't we have episode 62?
Ooh. Now, do you mean 62 or 60 part 2?
60 part 2, of course.
Nice. We should start a new podcast where you do episode 1 and then episode 1 part 2 and then episode 1 part 3 and just continue it forever.
Oh my gosh.
Episode 2 would be such an event.
Or you get to like episode 1 part 5 and then you do episode 1 part 5 subsection 1.
Yeah.
And
Or
you
you
keep
just-
branching.
Or you just really mix it up and have recorded before the show, air an unaired episode 0.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
And then as soon as you got everyone like fully just they're never going to do episode 2, then you hit them with episode 2. Of course.
Amazing.
And then
Cinema.
everyone's going to be expecting that you'll follow up with like episode 2 part 1 and you just do episode 3. Got to keep them on their toes, you know.
Or just
That's
episode
right.
10, full of Microsoft.
Ooh. Nice. It's even better if you record episodes 3 through 9 and then also record 10 and release 10 and then later release all the
Yeah.
unreleased.
Just leak them one at a time. Ready. So let's get the show on the road. It's time.
Okay. Yes. I changed my title. Hopefully we're good.
Yep. I see it up.
Okay, good. All right. Welcome to episode 61 of the TCCG Roundtable. We're your hosts, dragonrider, DankestDad, and RonMexico. How's it going? How's it going?
Hey, good to be here.
It is good to be here inside because it is very hot outside. It's 97 degrees and I want nothing to do with it.
Ugh. Yeah,
I'm
no.
so with you. Sucks out there.
Yes.
But I was talking to my coworkers, it's 70 degrees back where they are, and I'm just like, one of these days. But till then, we'll stay outside and play card games, right?
It's a good plan.
Yeah.
I support it.
Cards are good. Especially on a Friday. It's Friday. Oh my gosh.
It is
Oh my god,
Friday.
it's Friday.
I know. Hey, we have a holiday weekend here coming up, and at least in the US. I know some other places probably don't have the same holiday weekend, but it's a long weekend, so you know that's something to look forward to. At least I'm excited. Any of you guys have anything exciting going on?
Oh, yeah. I got the Renaissance Fair Monday. Gonna be great. My wife Michelle has made some chainmail pieces for both of us that look amazing. So that's gonna be pretty sick. And then I'm having some friends over for game night, playing some cards. Just, pretty chill weekend with some fun stuff.
Nice.
Nice.
I don't have anything going on this week, but in the very near future, heading out to a concert with my Michelle, and we're gonna see like this Queen tribute type thing, which should be really fun. We saw like the set list, and it's like a whole bunch of awesome songs. I have a birthday coming up pretty soon after that, and then right
Ooh.
after my birthday, I'm heading out to California again to go visit my family for about a week. That's coming up in like 2 weeks from now, so some things to look forward to. It's kind of exciting.
Nice. Where in
Awesome.
California are you headed?
Berkeley.
Nice. Enjoy the Bay Area. I miss it.
Yeah, it's really nice, especially when like the weather sucks like regularly in every part of the country. Or most parts of the country, it's just like it's always like 70 degrees and like balmy in the Bay Area. It's just like, oh my god, you guys are so spoiled. It's
Yeah.
absurd. Yeah.
Well,
But yes, Sean, I do think I will probably plan a birthday stream, which would be, I think, maybe my first ever birthday stream. I usually don't stream on my birthday, but I was thinking about doing it this year.
do it. Yeah. Amazing. I was gonna say our live chat coming in with the real questions. Love it. Gotta make sure you're doing a birthday stream. As for me, I have been focusing, so I'm so tired. I've been focusing so much on this AFG Animal Month Bingo Day that's happening tomorrow in Casper, Wyoming. So that's gonna be myself, Base Ink, and Lenny. Gonna be hanging out, playing some bingo, selling some dog treats and stuff for donations for the shelter. And yeah, I'm excited, but it's been a lot. It's been a lot of planning and working and trying to get everything together, and not nearly enough time to do it all. Which, you know, it's story of our lives, but that's okay. It's gonna be good. I'm excited. And I guess I'm just gonna say it now before Dankest jumps into any news about Star Wars, but I got another set reveal for this next upcoming set for Star Wars Unlimited. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
very excited. I will be revealing that next Friday, a week from today. And I will say it's a legendary. So I'm going to be revealing a legendary card next week. So look forward to that. It's a good one. It's a good one. I'm excited.
Hell yeah.
And it was so hard not to tell Dankest that earlier. I wanted to so bad, and I was like, no, I'm going to save it for the show. Save it.
Well, you kept your secret. Well done.
I did. Whew. It's good. First time. The first time for everything. Usually I'm like, I can't. I got to tell somebody. Well, all right. What do we have for news?
Well, heading into it, of course, Hearthstone has had a balance patch this week with updates to Standard, Wild, and Battlegrounds. We'll be talking about that a bit more in detail later. Otherwise, Star Wars, as John had alluded, has started spoiler season. So we've gotten to see a couple more cards. Gore, Grievous's pet, and Plo Koon, everyone's favorite Jedi, have made their appearances. So they show off the new keywords from the set. We see some exploit, we see some coordinate. So yeah, check those guys out and keep an eye out for Dawn's preview next week. Otherwise, Universus has announced their 2025 roadmap. We are going to see cards from new IPs Solo Leveling, Street Fighter, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Guilty Gear, with Critical Role and Attack on Titan also making their return. So if you were alive in the 90s, boy, are you the target demographic for next year. So enjoy it.
Some new
But
stuff too. I've watched all the episodes of Solo Leveling, and it is really awesome. Is a kick-ass show. And
yeah.
I actually saw that update, and I thought, oh, I bet Dank is going to talk about that.
Wow.
It was pretty sweet.
All right. Well, I'll have to tack it on. I know some of my other Universus friends and I were talking, saying, which IP has gotten the most non-Universus people talking about it, and you're the first one in the column for Solo Leveling. So we'll see how many others are, getting
Solid.
excited. But yeah, that's all for our news there. Ron, take us to the next bit. What's up with that Hearthstone patch?
So for Hearthstone, there were a whole lot of changes that came through in the balance patch. They even made wild changes, not just standard changes. The uh, the nerfs for standard were minimal. There were just 2 cards changed, but Tide Pool Pupil, which was kind of ever present and enabling a powerful rogue archetype, at least at the very top of ladder and in the tournament scene. Tide Pool Pupil is now going to be a 2 mana 2/2 rather than a 1 mana 2/1, thereby removing its effectiveness with Sonya for rogue as kind of the main element of the nerf. Outside of that, it just slows down the card a little bit for all of the other decks and strategies that want to use it for obviously more powerful spells. There's one more change for standard when it comes to nerfs, which is Doomkin. Seems very much on the line of a sentiment nerf. People did not like having their mana stolen from them. There were many anecdotal accounts of Druid having, say, 9 mana, while the Druid's opponent had 2 or 3 mana, courtesy of ramping plus Doomkin. And now Doomkin has been increased by 1 mana. It has also increased its stat line from a 3/4 to a 4/5, so a little bit milder of a nerf. It's not a 7 mana 3/4 that would be kind of atrocious stat wise. A 7 mana 4/5 is its new stat line, and well, we'll see if players continue to want to try to put that in their Druid decks. It is rumored to also be a Warlock card, but I don't think those rumors have ever been substantiated. Um, moving on to the wild section of nerfs, there was Wild Pawn Knoll that got changed from 5 mana to 6 mana, making it, I believe, the most nerfed card now in Hearthstone's history. Something like 5 or 6 changes. Pretty crazy stuff for Wild Pawn Knoll, still enabling a lot of powerful rogue archetypes. Another thing that was abusing that Wild Pawn Knoll type deck also got nerfed for rogue, being Secret Passage, going from 1 mana to 2 mana now. Pretty huge nerf there to double its cost. And lastly, Sorcerer's Apprentice got the Reddit treatment, as people have been saying. The old stat line of it was a 3/2 costing 4 mana, up from 2 mana its original cost, back when they changed it a while ago. Now it has gone back to its original 2 mana cost. However, it has added some text to that your spells cost 1 last line. Underneath it also says, but not less than 1, thereby not allowing any 0 mana shenanigans that Mage and Wild love to pull off by making multiple copies of Sorcerer's Apprentice and doing the whole, uh, Antonitis, Exodia Lethal, or that was kind of an older thing. Then they moved on to just other fire spells that were cheaper that they could go infinite with, like Ignite and so on.
Yeah. Flame Waker
Um,
as well. Rest in peace.
Yeah, but now that is over and done with. Sorcerer's Apprentice has been effectively nerfed, and we will see how Mage and Wild adapts to that. Beyond that, we have a whole bunch of standard buffs, and I'm not going to go through all of them and what their changes are. Mainly just the highlights. Eudora dropped by a mana, no changes. Maestra dropped by 1 mana, no other changes. Metal Detector went up by 1 attack as a weapon. Furious Fowls for Hunter makes me sad. they increased the stat line of the birds that summon by 1 health. Okay. Mystery Egg got changed, which is secretly a wild nerf. It is dropped by 1 mana, but also the discount of the beasts that it has also dropped by 1 mana. Fetch got a significant buff, dropping from 2 mana to 1 mana. Rye Cleaver was buffed, and now the sandwich that you can make with the Rye Cleaver costs 1 less. Food Fight has gotten slightly buffed, where the 0 attack minion that summons is now 2 health less, going from a 0/6 to a 0/4. Boom Wrench has been buffed, dropping by 1 mana. Watercolor Artist for Mage has been buffed, dropping by 1 mana and also dropping its stat line 1/1. So it used to be a 4 mana 4/4, now a 3 mana 3/3. Rayla in Mage has increased by 1 health. Marooned Archmage in Mage has also increased by 1 health. DJ Mana Storm dropped by 1 mana. And CCG got a reworking. CCG was a 4 mana 4/3 with a Death Rattle to get 3 random first edition Demon Hunter cards. It is now a 4 mana 4/4 with Battle Cry, Outcast, and Death Rattle get a random first edition Demon Hunter card. So very interesting. One of the key changes there is you can find it from Illidari Studies now and play it for its effect, and that would make it Outcast and Battlecry right away for those 2 cards. So that one, I'm very intrigued to see what happens. And then there are a ton of Battlegrounds changes that I will not really get
Read
into.
them to me. Come on. I want to hear it. Your sweet, silky smooth voice.
I do not want to go over all of the Battlegrounds changes because there are so many, and I don't even play Battlegrounds.
Hey,
and
you
it's
talked
gonna
about
hurt my
Wild.
brain.
Don't be a hypocrite.
I did talk about Wild, but that's because there were like 3 things in Wild, and I've actually played Wild more recently than Battlegrounds.
Are you sure? Are you okay? That doesn't
No.
sound like you.
I've never been okay.
All right, but we got all these changes. So I gotta
Yes.
ask,
Big patch.
of those changes, are there any in particular that are exciting to you or make you feel like, oh, hey, I might want to try this, or it's cool that we'll see more of that? Anything kind of catching your attention?
Yes. CCG. Literally just CCG. I think it's cool. I always thought it was a cool card, like from the moment I saw it printed, and it was just too slow and clunky. And it might still be too slow and clunky to actually main deck, but the fact that you can find it off Illidari Studies and have some cool things happen is something I find exciting. Everything else, well, I mean, Watercolor Artist, I think is potentially like a pretty good enabler of some stronger mage strategies. Maybe it brings Sif Mage back because it's faster and you get the freeze spell that copies a thing for free, like a little bit quicker. You can do something with it. And I'm sorta on the fence about fetch in Hunter being like, maybe we could do something with this. Its restriction is still so severe for a 1 card draw, but it is a 1 mana tutored minion draw, so that could be relevant at many different points. Whether or not you want to try to make your whole deck like Beast to get the guaranteed spell draw or not is a whole different question. But 1 mana minion tutor, you can do a whole lot worse. Maybe there's room for that somewhere. As far as the other changes, nothing super excites me. What about you?
Yeah. I can say that while the Rye Cleaver change does look pretty unimpressive, being able to do the sandwich with combined with the 3 card draw spell does actually matter a little bit. I still can't say I love that style of deck where you're just trying to hope that you have Rye Cleaver on 5 and then that card with the sandwich on 6, but there might be some sort of consistent pop off that you can do. So good change, I guess, to at least make the deck something to work towards. And then I think Marooned Archmage is just going to go from fringe to staple in Mage, and I'm hoping at least that Mage can make a little bit of a comeback in the midst of all of the very board focused early game decks that can cripple under a soul freeze or something else. But I might just have to keep dreaming.
Fair enough.
Anything for you, Dawn?
I mean, I know Ron said it, but CCG, like, that was something that I liked from the beginning too. I think when that card was revealed, I said I wish it were a battle cry and not a death rattle, but having even more things is cool, right? Like that makes it
now it has
interesting.
battle cry.
Yeah, now it has battle
That's
cry
something.
and other stuff, so that seems cool. I'm still not sure, like, I guess what I would want to play it in, kind of as Ron said, right? Like main decking it, I think is the problem, but we'll see. I think we should probably be hearing pretty soon about mini set. It's gonna start to be that time, right, where we're gonna hear about a mini set and then get the mini set fairly soon. Not exactly sure on the timing because it's Friday. It's been a long week, and they kind of bumped up the release schedule. So
Yeah, we'll just have to see.
Yeah, it's going to be weird too, just to have a patch with this timing when we know mini set is like right around the corner.
yeah,
So whatever meta could possibly develop from this patch with all these buffs and a couple of nerfs, we'll never get to see this specific meta fully realized because we know that there's going to be a huge shakeup with the mini set when it releases in like max 2 weeks from now, maybe, as like I
Yeah,
can't imagine it takes longer than that, and it would take longer for this meta to like fully develop. So it'll be a weird little interim time. Back to also your point about CCG, I think maybe you could. They kind of turned this card into Drilly, like Demon Hunter
kind
Drilly.
of, yeah.
But Drilly is good in Rogue, or has been good in Rogue, in large part because there's a mech buff tutor and there's a mech discount card. So if there's somehow a 1 mana card that discounts your next minion for Demon Hunter, and also a spell that tutor draws I don't know, a non-tribal, like, it doesn't make sense because it's not tribal, so you can't find the tutor. Like, it's
I mean,
missing two
it's an
huge components.
It is tutorable in standard.
Oh wait, because outcast, that's like
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
maybe that does work then. Maybe there's a way to make it kind of work. I know you
mean,
still sort of would need a discount too, it seems, because it's so slow.
yeah, and I mean that's studies, because studies can be any card
Wayward
that
Sage.
has
Yeah.
outcast.
Set it up.
I
You
guess
know?
you play studies first as a setup, and then you do the tutored draw. But do you really want to replace the wolves in your deck with CCG for the Bob draw? I mean, I don't know.
Hey, come on.
It could be fine. It's cooler. It's cooler to like play studies on 1 and Bob on 2 and then CCG on 3 from Outcast. Maybe there's something there.
The dream.
That's like, yeah, that's your dream opener for a CCG deck. Does that ever beat real decks? That's a different question. But that would be cool to set up.
I can say that the card would be much better if you had a consistent, inexpensive way to recur these mid-condition Demon Hunter cards, like maybe a nice flexible 1-drop that could let you discover one that you'd already played and play it again. Might be nice, but
how about a 2-drop?
I don't know. Might be a little too expensive.
Can I interest you in a 2/2?
So yeah,
yeah.
You see where we are there. I can say though that I'm a little disappointed with this patch because, card games meant to be an escape from the real world. And you can see that now if you are a warrior player, when 3 mana used to get you a 6 health entree, it's now only 4 health. Shrinkflation is wild. It's just running
so
rampant. And yeah, just less food for your mana. Come on, Blizzard. What's going on?
Upsetting. It's upsetting is what it is. Speaking of upsetting, I'm just gonna focus on one last thing here in the buffs, and that was I tweeted about this. Let me just read what I tweeted because it sums up my thoughts. Seeing the teaser image for Furious Fowls getting buffed and then finding out how it changed is like being told you're getting a raise at work and then seeing it's a 10-cent increase. That's how I feel.
Rip.
I don't think you're wrong. I mean, those 3/3 birds don't
Yeah.
think are going to be accomplishing much more than
I
the
was like, oh,
2/2.
sweet, it's going to be 5 mana. Oh, no, it's still 6 mana. It still summons 2/3 attack minion. What changed? Oh, they're 3/3s instead of 3/2s. Okay. I feel like I just got slapped in the face. All right.
Why
fine.
doesn't it just summon a bird for each enemy minion? Right?
Oh my god. Can it cost can we change it to 3 mana and summon a bird for each minion on board, and also they're 1/1s and also they have charge?
Could happen.
And maybe we could call it Unleash the Birds. I don't know. Just spitballing here. Come on, man. Give me my card back, please. For the love of God. All right. I'll move on.
Yeah.
We're done.
So, while we're here, though, so on the subject of these changes, I thought today we might talk about what makes a good nerf or errata, call it what you will, from whatever card game you're from. But, the different designers seem to have different philosophies. So I figure I'll start it off and say one philosophy that I've seen with these is high confidence. And I think that this is the one that the Hearthstone team really tends to stand by the most, which is making changes where they are highly confident that the impact will go a specific way. And just as an example, with a card like Furious Fowls, the designers, I think, are fairly confident that raising the health of the birds by 1 will not make the card broken. It will not ruin standard, but at the same time, the card is underperforming, it's underplayed, and this change, while small, will only make players' experiences better. People who aren't playing the card are going to see more variety in their games, and people who do play the card are going to feel a little bit better because once in a while that health will make a difference. And I think on cards like that, like Metal Detector, like Maestra, they are really just shooting to hit that sweet spot of not necessarily making the cards meta, making them top tier, making them playable, but just pushing them closer to that line in a way that they know is going to work. So that's one philosophy. You guys seen anything else that, designers or different teams try and do?
Well, I do enjoy. I don't know if it has a specific name, but the thing that always at least amuses me, I like to call it nuke from orbit, where basically, there's a card that is so broken or so absurdly powerful with like the strategies it enables that they do like a full-on rework of the card and completely change everything about how it was to be a totally new card. And usually that totally new card sucks. And like the previous one was everywhere and really good. And it often creates this type of sentiment of well, I don't know, people just straight up hate the thing and like want it to suffer, so you get like sometimes a celebration from the community that, oh, public enemy number 1 has been killed type of deal. And I don't know exactly what you'd call that strategy, but it does occur in multiple different games, and it's always, if nothing else, funny when it happens.
Yeah, we were just talking about Bucky in Lorcana before the show. Squeakin', if you like the Emperor's New Groove, Bucky the Squirrel. He got that nuke from orbit in that game just a month or two ago. And Hearthstone, we've had Warsong Commander, I think is the iconic example of the card that was nuked from orbit. But especially when there's a design that is unhealthy or not really salvageable, where less so much that the card is powerful, but more so that they just don't want that sort of effect in the game, then you're going to see the nuke from orbit a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I think of changes, I know it's probably easier for like digital games to do this specifically, but I know all card games can do this based on what stats they have, but they can do like a stats versus feels type philosophy of nerfing or changing something based on like win rate or play rate versus they're changing something because of, as you mentioned earlier, like, hey, this feels bad to play against, or this is not like a fun experience, so sometimes like Hearthstone especially has kind of changed some things based on win rate or play rate, and sometimes they change things based on like, yeah, maybe the win rate is not that great, decks or certain cards, maybe it's only like a 48% win rate or something, but they still end up nerfing it because it feels really bad to play against. um and I think it's a little bit harder for physical games to do like the stat side of it exactly, but they do have some tournaments and some things like that, and just like a lot of player sentiment to look at, and I'm sure they can play test their own games and stuff too, and kind of see power levels of things. So
Yeah, I mean, playing Universes, when Attack on Titan came out, there was a card from the set, Berthold, that was so complained about in the Discord for the game before the set even came out that it got day zero errata'd, day zero change.
Wow.
And it was very interesting because I've done all right at Universes, but it was not one of the cards I was super high on. It might have been in that camp of really negative play experience. I think that's very possible. But from a competitive perspective, I did not see it being being something you're going to find at the top table. And yet, it got the nuke from orbit day one. So
Wow.
I'm I don't disagree with the team for doing that because very clearly the player base was not looking forward to it. But I don't know. I'm a bit of a masochist sometimes, so part of me wanted them to just let it ride and make me eat my words if I was wrong.
That's the rare combo of things like the styles that we're talking about, where they combined sentiment outlier with nuke from orbit. That's rare.
Yeah. It was a fun moment though. Like when we were talking about it, I got to tell my Universus friends the story of Ticketus and how it
Nice.
got us where we are today with these sentiment changes in Hearthstone.
Yeah. Oh, Ticketus. What a
Uh,
card.
I miss him.
Turns out people just really don't like seeing their stuff that they're looking forward to get disrupted uh in some way, even if it was in many cases irrelevant and they were never going to draw it. It's totally different to see the things that you are not allowed to play in this game ever now, that you probably
Yeah.
weren't going to play anyway, but hey, that's different from watching them burn up right in front of your eyes.
Yeah. I think it's like very funny too, because I correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think Hearthstone has like uses the language like remove the top card of your deck anymore.
Yeah, they usually do bottom card of your deck.
Bottom
uh,
or random or A. Like they
right,
don't
yeah.
specify top because that makes people so much more mad.
Oh
And,
yes.
and it's random. The top card could be anything, and there aren't
Yeah, I mean,
too
it's
many.
functionally the same thing, but that doesn't matter. The sentiment is what matters. They're like, I was literally about to draw that. How dare you? Yeah, yeah. Very funny.
And we've talked about nerfs. Oh, Don, you look like you have a thought. I
nope.
see something profound. No, okay, it wasn't profound. All right. So we talked about nerfs, but buffs. So these are rarer, and I'll say they take more resources to do. When you nerf a card, it's a lot more straightforward, but when you buff a card, the whole ecosystem gets rocked a bit. You have to kind of see what works and what doesn't. Like, so given that, are there any other sorts of buffs you would like to see the team try in Hearthstone, or any kinds of buffs that, that less specific cards and more just like a philosophy that you think could be a good change?
I have to start right away by saying, like, the easiest buffs I think that are out there that maybe are underutilized to the point of possibly never being used when it comes to standard are nerf reversions. Like, why not do that? Why not do that more often? Like, when you have specifically underperforming classes, archetypes, cards, whatever it might be, and they at one point were overtuned for a different meta or caused some complaints or whatever else the case might be, and then that card got nerfed, but now that card is nowhere near powerful enough to carry any particular type of deck or class or anything. Why not go in and just reverse the changes that you made before? I feel like it's a softball thing because you don't even need to, like, concern yourself too much with how crazy is this going to impact the game. You already had this in your game. At one point you literally had technically always planned for it to be exactly this way, and then you change your mind. You can change it back. It's allowed. Usually we only see the nerf reversions happen when the cards rotate from standard to wild, but it could easily happen before they rotate from standard to wild, especially if, hey, they were good, they got nerfed, now they suck. What if we unnerf it?
So
That's probably one of my biggest complaints that they don't really ever do in standard.
you have that locked and loaded. Is there a specific example you have in mind?
What? A specific example? I don't know. Let me
Doesn't have to be
see.
this standard. I know there.
There's Hollow Hound, there's Awakening Tremors, there's Costume Singer, just off the top of my head. They're all hunter cards, in case you were wondering, because I'm pretty biased. But, like, just it's also like things in Wild that have already rotated and didn't get the revert treatment that make absolutely no sense too. I care less personally because I don't really play Wild, but it still feels kind of messed up to, like, not have those back. Yeah, it's a great comment in chat. Like, the Pirate Crest for Warrior, it caused a lot of sentiment complaints, issues from people, but it is nowhere near good enough to be competitive in Wild. So why not let it return to its former glory of what it used to be? Because it will not, I guarantee you, it will not break that game mode. There's like no real reason not to do it, except for, well, it would take time and resources to change, and we don't really care. Sure, I get that, but
It did break
also,
the Wild game
come
mode
on.
once. It
don't
did
know.
do it one time.
Yeah. Things have changed.
I do wonder if one reason that they don't do that more is because I feel like in a way they've kind of tried that in, like, a not direct form, but like indirectly with bringing things into the core set, which those cards do exactly what you said. Like, they're not, buffed, but it's like they were good in the meta that they were in. They're bringing them back, and now they just, like, don't even get used because they're just bad in this meta, or in the current meta when they try to bring them back. So I feel like they just don't want to spend the energy even considering unnerfing or reverting nerfs when why bother if it's not going to make an impact. They'd rather try to do other cards that might actually have an impact. Although, yeah, for Hearthstone specifically, I feel like the buffs typically don't do a lot in terms of raising the power level of those cards, but I also think that's because they tend to do pretty light buffs relatively. Probably because that whole Doom in the Tomb thing kind of burned. So they
Yeah,
don't
there
want to
there are a few
like,
examples getting burned
yeah,
by buffs, and now they're afraid to over buff. It seems. I agree.
yeah,
Grievous Pocket Galaxy might
that,
have
yeah,
been a
yeah.
decent decent change. But
You did bring up though the core set, which triggers me in a different way, and like kicks off more rants. That I won't like go overboard on this, but just it's interesting that they elected to buff some cards from like original Hearthstone in the core set when they decided to bring them back. And specifically in this case, I'm talking about Swipe. And it's a very weird choice to make a already good card at 4 mana Swipe into a 3 mana card, and then simultaneously print a gift for each class. And in the gift, some of them have like wild only card access, which seemed like a really cool idea and a theme to go along with for the gifts. But then for others, are just like, yeah, these cards are standard legal, and also here's a gift so you can have more copies of standard legal cards. So they've broken one of the fundamental rules of Hearthstone, where you can only have 2 copies of a card in your deck at any given time. And it might take something very specific, like, oh, I don't know, Tidepool Pupil, which just got nerfed for being OP. To actually get you more copies of those cards that you want. But then some classes got gift cards, like Druid has also buffed core set Swipe that's available in a gift, so has access potentially to 4, maybe even more, with copy effects that they have from other cards that they printed to get even more if they really wanted to. It's kind of just a strange choice in general when it comes to the core set, that some things they decided, okay, we're going to bring these back, and also we're going to buff them. And then other things are like, yeah, we're just going to leave this trash. It's back. You can have it if you want, but it really sucks. It sucked then, and it mega sucks now. But like, it's there. You can use it if you want to. Knock yourself out.
uh, that I don't know if that's true. As a priest player, my creation protocols and all of my shadow visions and everything, I'm used to having like 8 of the card I want at all times. But yeah, the Swipe one's interesting because I know that for them, I kind of like, from the other side of it, I kind of think that if they're going to try and introduce a spell damage archetype, rather than reinvent the wheel and print a new card that is 3 mana Swipe, I think that it's good that they just change Swipe and use that card slot for something else. That makes sense to me. So like, I can kind of see why they might want to do it that way, but I do kind of agree with you on the gift front of it, that putting, 4 copies of the card in the deck can be a lot for consistency. And it's a, I think, bigger discussion, but I do wish that they had done a bit more with those extra card slots, because thinking back, I don't feel like, every single card has been a hit necessarily. And like, there are some cards that are cool, like Cruise Captain Laura, that don't really have much of a place, and I don't know what the fantasy is there. They buffed the card. That's another one that's been buffed, but still doesn't really see play, fit in a particular style. And I feel like when they have these cards that are sort of, they're not even French vanilla, but they're not synergy pieces. They just are, value on a stick that doesn't really belong in any archetype. I do wish that they would either give those cards some more flexibility or something like that to maybe make them have a spot.
It
I
makes
know.
me wonder if there's like a subsection of the dev team that is like literally in a 2016 time capsule, and like some of the other devs just like time traveled to 2016, and they're like, okay, what ideas do you have for current Hearthstone? Okay, that's cool, we're gonna bring it with us to 8 years in the future and not change a thing, and then print that one. Awesome. Wait, what do you mean it's too weak? Oh, weird. The game changed? Huh.
Yeah. So another kind of buff I want to see them try is for them to, Ron said revert nerfs. I think they should preemptively plan nerfs. So we have stuff like the mini set coming, and we're going to be seeing cards that support archetypes that are already supported by cards in the set. But these cards in the set came out without their support that's been planned, been designed, is on the books, and for that they languish. And in this period before the mini set, those cards really don't end up doing a whole lot. So if they know this, where they're going to put out an archetype and have that support coming later, I don't think it would hurt for them to give those cards a little bit of help early on, and then have a plan to change them in some way once their support comes out and pushes them a little too far. So that could be something nice. I would want to maybe see, like in the past, for example, like we've had some cards where, like Pain Warlock was not as supported and then got a bunch of support. And it felt really odd that they had put out the Pain cards, buffed the Pain cards a bunch, and then changed nothing, when they probably could have, maybe given Baritone Imp a point of health on the release of that set. And Showdown in the Badland would have seen Baritone Imp getting played a whole lot more prior to the release of the mini set. But yeah, just a thought.
I mean, the whole mini set issue in general has been interesting, and one that we've discussed before, where it's a very strange concept that there is an entire expansion set that is designed and a mini set that is designed at the same time to go in tandem with the expansion. However, with multiple balance patches prior to the mini set, the cards from the mini set will never be fully realized in their intended design, because the things that they went in tandem with have already been nerfed or buffed in some cases. And that, I think, can sometimes dramatically alter the intention and power level behind the cards. Maybe sometimes they're too weak now because of a nerf, maybe sometimes they're too strong now because of a buff, or whatever the case might be. But the most famous example I can think of is Sludge Warlock with Popgar. And Popgar is such an absurdly powerful broken card, specifically because Sludge was a failure on release, when one of the most powerful supporting cards for Sludge was the Chaos Creation or whatever it was that came out in the mini set. So if we had just waited a little bit longer, that card would have saved Sludge and would have never prompted the Popgar buff. But it enables an entire fatigue warlock archetype to insane levels, because Popgar, it seemed like it
I
was
see what
never
you
the
did there.
intention. It was never the intention to it was never the intention to actually have Popgar able to discount a crucial spell to 0. But because they're like, oh, we need to make the sludges stronger, we're going to have Popgar discount by 2 on fell spells, with the unforeseen consequence that now Crescendo costs 0 with Popgar, where it never would have cost 0 before, and enables some absolutely ridiculous turns, especially with Tide Pupil as like the recent thing. So now you have turns where you might be able to go for just 4, maybe 5 mana, play Popgar and a Pupil and rip off like 3 to 4 crescendos, like all for 0 mana, and instantly win the game with board clear plus heal plus face damage all at once. And all of that is, I think, directly connected to the disconnect between the timing of expansion release and the timing of mini set release, and the interplay between those two things. So I don't know if that's something they can ever realistically get a handle on, or try to anticipate a little bit better, but I feel like that's a very valid point. Hey, you can try to pre-plan nerfs and buffs based on how you think things might go. And like, you guys already know what is in the mini set, what's coming. Like, why would you Why would you make changes to Sludge or Pain as an example? I don't know why it's so Warlock focused, but I guess that's just what I'm
Be-
top of a head.
They do that because
Yeah.
players, because the public, because people
Yes. I
voice
mean,
their opinions or they ask for people's opinions, and they're asking players who don't know what's coming. So those players give opinions
yeah.
based on only what they know and what they see, right now. And then they go, okay, well, this is what the players want. We should change this. And then I think sometimes they kind of might, I don't want to say like miss the mark, but the certain windows that they have for when they do the patches means that sometimes if they don't do that, like kind of preemptive change or even revert, if we were to talk about that too, like if they were to revert something, say, okay, hey, we changed that because of that, but now we're releasing these cards and we're going to revert that change, in this patch that's coming right before the mini set or whatever. I don't know, if they did a couple of these things in combination, that could really make an impact as well.
Yeah. I agree. That's another really good point. And it kind of, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense from their perspective still, if you break it down to that, where it's like, why are you asking for feedback and acting on feedback from parties with missing information when you are the ones that have the information that you're actively withholding from the parties you're asking feedback from? Like, I'm pretty sure a large section of the community that's complaining about some of these things or saying, hey, we need a change to this or that, might not have that same complaint if you told them, well, actually, this card is going to be printed or is already printed and will be released in like 2 weeks, and it will change a whole lot of things. Just be patient. And you can't say, you can't just reveal the card in advance, but there's no like, sorry guys, just be patient. There's answers to some of the problems that is being withheld for now because of
Yeah.
monetary reasons for our scheduling and things.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I think it would feel pretty bad to a lot of the player base if they got told that too, which is one problem. Like, you
Yeah.
can't just say, like, just wait till the mini set, like, because then people will say, okay, well, I just won't play. And that's not what they want,
True.
right? Like, they want
Yeah.
people to be playing their game even between the mini sets. So they kind of came up with the solution of like, let's have patches and nerfs and
Right.
balances and change these things in between so that people continue to play, because we don't want to just say, hey, just wait for the mini set, or like, yeah, we have something planned for the expansion that's going to work with this, just wait, because then people will say, I'm not going to wait, I'm just going to stop playing. And they don't want that.
Yeah. I mean, which frequently happens anyway, to be fair.
Yes, that's
But
yes.
yeah, you're right
Yeah.
that like patches will reignite interest and get people to play more because, oh, this thing that either isn't strong enough or is too strong has now been changed. So I was gonna wait to play until the mini set because I wanted a change, and now I'm getting a change sooner. But in the long run, that change might not have been something that they actually wanted, and had they had all of the information at their disposal, they may have elected a different choice. That choice still might have been, okay, I'm not going to play and wait until the mini set for the game to be better balanced. But well, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's almost as if the concept of mini sets kind of creates some unsolvable problems over and over that repeat ad infinitum.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. Who knows?
Yeah. And
Surely it's not that.
I wouldn't say they're unsolvable. Like, my personal opinion that I have stated before is that I think mini sets should focus only on mechanics from the previous standard year, or that don't exist in the current set, as kind of a boost to those archetypes, rather kind of as like a retrospective. All right, we see how things went, let's try and patch the holes or create some new ways to play. But that's hard, and I get why they don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So understandable. But like, if I know they have done this before, but if they made a statement about saying that a change is temporary and being fully transparent about that, like, hey, look, we're going to be buffing this card because it's struggling right now, but we'll be revisiting the buff later. Or, even something to more organically tell players it's coming down the pipeline. Like, I know back in the day, there was always lots of speculation about what's coming next for Hearthstone. And I know there is this little Easter egg that they do, and I believe they're still doing it, where they tease the theme of the next set in the art and flavor text of one of the cards. And they don't tell us which card it is, but they have a little bit of a teaser that's hidden in there that gives you an idea of what's coming next if you are so inclined to find it. Now, I do find that fun. I don't want you to make it too easy for me, but perhaps give us a little bit more. So, with an example, I'll go to Showdown in the Badlands again. If maybe some of the cards teased finding some more in the mines down below, or needing to get some help to dig it up. As a player base, we could perhaps conclude that Excavate might be scaling up a little bit when the mini set rolls around. And I know that's a bit of an undertaking, but the people who do Hearthstone's art and story are very talented. And I would love to see them work more closely with design on making the sets kind of feel that way again. Because we have lots of cool characters from those earlier days of the game that have been coming back. And I just want to see more characters and more stories like that kind of grip us so that we have cool stuff to come back to in a few years.
I like it.
But that's enough yelling at clouds for me.
Oh yeah. You mentioned Excavate, and I got triggered all over again. But I
Yeah.
won't talk about Hunter not getting Excavate or anything like that. Yeah. Any last things that we wanted to comment on this topic?
No, just
Cool.
I think one thing is, as we've talked about before on the show as well, people have different expectations of what they want from their card games or what they want from balance patches. And I think that can play a huge part in it too, as we mentioned in previous topics. So that's something that I don't think can be understated.
Definitely. And all of this is coming from a place of being constructive. The three of us, we all really like Hearthstone a lot. Some of us even so much that we stream it for 20 hours a week or more. And we're not saying this because we dislike the game. We're saying this because we want the game to be the best it can be. And because the people who have run it have done a good job of listening to people, making changes. And yeah, the devs are doing a good job already. They're making the majority of the players happy. And, if they can make us happy too, that would be great. But yeah, if I didn't think they could fix the game or didn't think that they could do anything to improve stuff, I wouldn't be here talking.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, and I get grumpy sometimes when it comes to like my favorite styles of play in class and so on, and occasionally like just not having as competitive things as I would like. But at the end of the day, like no game has pulled me in and kept me interested for as long as Hearthstone has. Ever. And it's a game I absolutely love and want to see continue to thrive for years and years to come. So it is very much in the forefront of all of our minds. So with that, that is our show for this week. I want to thank you all for joining us. And if you or someone you know would be interested in joining us, please reach out to us. You can email us at tccgroundtable@protonmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter, TCCG Roundtable. Use our top pinned tweet for a link to our Discord, or use the link in the description or show notes. And you can check out the video version at youtube.com/c/dragonrider TCCG. You can also find us everywhere you can find audio podcasts. If you would also like to help support us directly while getting some sweet merch like playmats or other card game accessories, you can use our link for our Inked Gaming affiliate. You can also find Amber Flight Gaming, our esports team, on Twitter at AFlight Gaming, and check out our new merch. We got some really sweet new gear, multiple shirts that I still have not gotten around to buying, but I really want to get. So this is going to remind me again to go check that out. And that's at exclaim.gg/store/AFG. Also, you can find us individually. Myself, you can find me at Ron_HS on Twitter. And you can find me streaming on Twitch weekdays, Monday through Friday at around 7 p.m. Eastern at RonMexico HS. Dragonrider, where can they find you?
You can find me, all over the place, feels like. On Twitter, you can find me at DonnieDK, DAWNIEDK. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube, dragonrider TCCG, which starting in September, I will be doing a consistent 2 days a week stream schedule again. So scheduled return of streams. Yeah. And yeah. You can also hear me talking everything standard Hearthstone at the Dr. 3HS podcast every week as well.
Perfect. And where can they find you, Dankest?
You can find me on youtube.com/c/DankestDad CCG. Latest video just went up the other day, so trying to stay in the content swing, so keep on checking it out. You can find me on Twitter as @DadDankest, and you can find me on Twitch as DankestDadCCG. Also, if you are looking to play some card games tonight, I will be playing in the Little Bit Community Night event over on the Wild Hearts Discord server. So if you're looking to try out some fun new card games, you can check that out. So yeah, Wild Hearts. It's good. Really excited about that.
Nice. Oh, is that a teaser for a future?
Is it?
Well, you can
Maybe.
speculate. In any case, thank you again for joining us, and we will see you next time at the roundtable.